Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Has any anons here ever had encounters with shadow people or the Hatman? What was your experience like? I've had sleep paralysis twice in my early 20s, but didn't see any shadow people. I could feel movement just to the right of my peripheral vision, though, but I couldn't move, and the air felt heavy. Share your experiences.
I actually saw the Hatman, no LARP. I saw him several times, and eventually I stopped being afraid of him. The Hatman is a bit of a wuss, and I have reason to believe he is an older demon, but he does have very good taste in clothes. To preface this, I'll start by telling you I have never had sleep paralysis, and was under no such effect. I did not take any meds, and was 14 when this started happening, old enough to be out of delusions. I have no mental illness and am not schizophrenic. I was listening to music before bed, as I lay in the dark, and had my upbeat songs playing. I loved, still do, the Foo Fighters. Upbeat shit, good lyrics, epic guitar. I think I was listening to good grief anyway. I look at the foot of my bed and see a figure standing there. 8 feet tall and slender, with a disproportionately large head. I was terrified. A dude made out of shadow, in my room. I could never tell if he had the hat, but when I spoke with him, he didn't have a hat then either. I was scared shitless. It was like it was looking at me, so I flicked on the lights. Gone. Flicked them back off, still gone. Started having frequent nightmares after that. Terrifying shit that I can't really speak about without getting spooked. Nothing can scare you anymore once you realize how petty those above you really are and how weak. That is, assuming my conclusion about him being a demon is correct. I had frequent nightmares, but none of them felt out of place. Just random shit. Being chased by dogs, falling, just annoying shit. Anyway, I saw the Hatman more and more, and eventually stopped being so terrified. Eventually I had the courage to say, "Dude, I don't know what you want, but you have to leave me alone." I was about 16 and a devout Christian. Still am. Being harassed by demons sealed the deal for me. Don't make me call our father. Dude fucking bolted. Saw him kind of shimmer and move out the door at rapid speed. Door was open, so I didn't see him move it. One day I had a particularly bad dream. Was in the desert walking towards a village far away. A young man in a suit followed behind me. I held a walking stick. He didn't speak to me but would occasionally try and grab me, so I would hold him at bay with the stick. The stick didn't hurt him, however. Eventually he spoke and told me to stop and give up. I told him to fuck off and continued walking. He brought a ragged and weary man to me. The ragged man was clearly in some sort of trance, and he said, "You can come with me, or I'll take this one's soul." I don't really know what came over me in that dream. Usually you feel kind of weak in any dream, but I felt strong. I told him, "Back off, feeder demon," and beat the ever-loving shit out of the Hatman until he released the ragged man. Never had a problem again with shadow dudes. Still convinced that I almost got my soul eaten that day. I know, I'm a badass, but I'm a sleepy badass and won't respond to anything you ask. Good night.
I used to see the Hatman in my downstairs dining room for years when I was a child. He would always be standing in different places, and when I would go downstairs to get water at night, I would see him standing there. Then when I walked past the dining room to go back upstairs, I would immediately feel as if I was being chased. But after seeing it for years in different spots in that area of the house, I got used to it. My 2 best friends also saw him on 2 separate occasions. Friend A, let's call him Bob, came sprinting upstairs during a sleepover and freaking out saying there was a man in the dining room. I asked him if it had a wide-brimmed hat and he said yes, so I told him everything. Friend 2, let's call her Jane, was hanging out pretty late into the night. I heard a bit crash downstairs, and when I went down there, she was sitting halfway up the stairs clutching her legs. She had seen the Hatman and dropped her glass on the floor. I haven't seen the Hatman in years, and my parents actually sold the house a few months ago and moved down the street into my grandparents' old house. Last time my fiancé and I were at the old house, I heard her scream, and when I walked in, all of the blinds were wide open and apparently had done so abruptly without her messing with them. I sometimes wonder what happened to my childhood Hatman. To be honest, I miss him sometimes. It was a really spooky but cool and consistent part of my childhood.
I used to get sleep paralysis often when I was a kid and then going into my preteens and super occasionally during high school and college, but then I grew out of it when I got to adulthood. The only weird instance I had that I can still remember several years later was a night in college where I was sleeping on the bottom bunk and woke up unable to move. I then swear I saw a figure in the corner of the room, but it vanished when I looked directly at it. I tried talking to my roommate, but he didn't respond, and then felt a weight lift off my body, and I was able to walk. I left the room and walked down the hallway, but it was abnormally long compared to normal, and the lights kept flickering on and off. When I went to the bathroom to go piss, I heard the showers turning off and on, and the lights turned off on me on their own. I then walked back to my bed and felt the weight hit me again as I noticed a shadow person in my bed, but I merged with them when I laid down, and I don't remember anything after that. But when I woke up, I had this feeling of dread like something awful had happened, and that night stuck with me. When I talked to my roommate about it, he got confused because he said he actually woke up at some point and noticed I was gone, and he sat up for about 2 hours trying to fall back asleep, but I never returned to the room. I don't know what the fuck I was doing for 2 hours, but apparently that's how long my little trip lasted. Funnily enough, my mother just told me a few days ago I used to sleepwalk as a kid, which was completely new to me. I had no idea. So I wonder if it was an instance of that or just a really vivid dream.
Colleges and dorms are super haunted and cursed from my experience. Lots of different people bring in all their negative shit there. Probably witches and Satanists and other fuckos ducking around. I know I had quite strange experiences at colleges, and my cousin was attacked every night by demons and had to do a cleansing of her room.
Yeah, there were crazy rumors about pentagrams in the attic of our dorm, and everyone had a ghost or supernatural experience there. Guy next door to me always had his girlfriend sleep over, and she used to get chills and then she'd get attacked by shadows or spirits in their room. A popular story was this guy got woken up by something slamming his door. He had locked it, and his roommate was out of town, but somehow it had been opened up and was slamming shut and opening again on its own. He went to wake up his girlfriend, who was in bed with him, but she was shivering even under the blanket, wearing many layers. She then started babbling about someone getting their hands off of her, and when he looked under the blanket, it was as if there was an invisible hand underneath there, and at the same time, all the posters around the room started bubbling up like there were tendrils growing underneath them. He woke her up finally by slapping her, and she started crying about shadow people trying to strangle her in her sleep. He got so pissed about whatever was going on, he shouted for whoever it was to knock this shit off, and they both watched the door open and slam shut one more time on its own.
Be me living in a woods at 23 somewhere in northern New Hampshire. Nothing to do in town, so start taking night drives to find shit to do. Get used to this and it becomes a weekly thing. Sometimes driving home at 1 a.m. or even later. Start changing up route every week just for some variety. One night driving home from a spur-of-the-moment trip to a small town in Maine. Most of the drive is on backwoods logging roads. Feel cool listening to Coast and cruising with the windows down. The only lights on the road are the cars and the unpolluted night sky. Pass by all sorts of cool shit. A moose, howling wolves, shooting stars, moonlit waterfalls, and a massive hotel in the middle of nowhere. After getting a bit closer to home, enter into a small city and start to feel uneasy. Figure it's from being tired. Start seeing shadows in the mirrors, and giant spiders run from behind parked cars, and get this eerie sensation of something sitting in the car with me. Suddenly, lose control of the car and do a full 720-degree spin, nearly going off the road and into an icy river. Stop the car and get out to kiss the ground. See another car coming down the other lane, only other driver all night. It slows down to check me out, but the driver has no face, only a blur of what looks like one. The car keeps going and doesn't stop. Get back into my own car and pull over to a dirt rest stop on the side of the road. Grab a few blankets and prepare to sleep on the side of the road for the remainder of the night after locking the car. Set an alarm for 5 a.m. and start dozing. Wake up sooner than that to the car shaking. Peek out the window, but there are no headlights for miles in either direction. Windows are fogged up but can see the clear outline of a pair of handprints on the outside of the back windshield. Nope the hell out and hope back into the driver's seat, speeding the rest of the way home at 3 a.m. Never go out at night driving while living there ever again.
Been me a long time ago. Lucid and vivid dream every night. One time I go to sleep in a dream and wake up in another, keep doing it. I find myself in a new dream and sleep as soon as I can. I dream about a weird party, sneak off to a room, and sleep. I wake up in a scary forest. I lay down on the forest floor in front of a haunted, scary tree stump. I remember spiders crawling on me, but I didn't care. I was going deep. Get very deep in the dreams. Live a life for 75 years, etc. I've seen other anons post similar dreams, having a wife and kids and a whole life. I still remember things from it. Wife tell me to wake up, so I started to wake up. Wake up in the dreams I went to sleep in on the way down. Remember the scary stump from years ago. Smell the leaves and forest. Wake up again, but I'm in sleep paralysis. Start spinning in the dream realm, a common occurrence when I try to astral project. Spinning in my covers, very scared, can't wake up. Stuck in my body, mustering all my strength. Wake up. I'm in my room. Look at the door. A slender shadow man with long pointed fingers opens my bedroom door. Still get goosebumps thinking of it. He runs to my bed and starts stabbing me with his fingers. I am screaming, bleeding a lot. Start to spin around in my covers. Wake up again. Look up at door. It starts to open. Long pointed fingers reach around the door. The shadow man rushes me in real life. I move forward, but he catches me, throws me at the wall, slashes my face and my eyes. I wake up. Door starts to open. Holy shit. Run to my touch lamp across the room. He catches me again. It was very painful and real every time he stabbed me with his fingers. I felt them pull my insides out and slice my eyelids and nose and everywhere. I keep waking up, keep getting attacked brutally by this thing. Each time I get closer to my touch lamp, which will turn on if I grab it. Finally make it to the lamp, see him coming for me, grab it, expecting the light to turn on. It doesn't. I'm slaughtered once again. Next time. Wake up. Door starts to open. Dash out of bed. Grab lamp. Light turns on. Grab pocket knife. Point it at door. Look and see my dad standing in my door. I am bawling, crying, pointing the knife at him and telling him to get out or I'll kill him. He leaves. I'm freaking out. Calm down. Go out of the room. Parents say I was screaming in my room. And that's about it. It was very strange. I think the shadow man was a representation of my dad. Glad I got away from him. Also, there was something strange about the feeling. Like, this thing is doing what it is supposed to. Like, it was its duty to destroy me. Maybe it was there to warn me of the real danger of my father, but it also felt very evil and connected to me. I like to imagine him destroying my enemies now, and I also know of a shadow spider thing that looks similar to it.
Years ago, used to have sleep paralysis regularly, with all sorts of different entities. Hags melting out of the ceiling, something wearing my best friend's skin and yipping like a dog while running on all fours. Something I couldn't see suckling my finger. A yellow-skinned ape with a wide grin. A shadow woman with deer antlers and blades for arms stabbing me in the throat. Eventually, this shit becomes so routine that I'm not really scared anymore. The entities just piss me off. Start angrily shouting at them instead of trembling in fear. Wake up my wife on multiple occasions because I was yelling, "Fuck you," at ceiling hags. Start waking up on the floor in delirious rages, swinging my fists, covered in cuts, bruises and scratches, some of which are very long and not explained by simply falling out of bed or getting a carpet burn. After about 3 occurrences of this, the sleep paralysis stops. Only get it these days if I explicitly take any substance that messes up my natural hypnagogia. Whether you believe the entities are external beings or merely projections of your consciousness, they feed on your fear. Treat them like minor pests to be violently swatted, make them afraid of you, and they'll fuck off.
The first time I heard of the shadows was not anything copy-pasty. A guy I know told me about a shadow. He described it as black fog person and how its presence stopped him from moving, made it really hard to breathe. The first time I actually had a dream about a shadow person, it was small. Luckily, the dream started in a place with lots of humans. The electricity kept going out and we didn't know why. It was in a big city and we could see surrounding buildings also flickering on and off. Police and other people were outside to see what was going on. Big traffic jam and everything. People honking and yelling about the traffic lights not working. I was at a second-floor apartment building, about to go check the breakers. Seemed normal until I went down the stairs. I could feel a pressure. Nothing like the ones I ran into after. Instinct triggers to run, but without urgency. After resetting the breakers, went back up the stairs. Nothing would turn on. The next time I went down there, a policeman and another guy were with me. Plus maybe like 5 other people were standing in the stairwell. Came back, saw it standing in the corner, looking at the corner and twitching uncontrollably. It was maybe 4 feet tall. The profile looked like that of a young boy. But think of the blackest black you can imagine. Like one of those full body costumes with no details. I got close to it and tried to talk to it, but it ignored me. Then it started screaming like a banshee, maybe like worn brakes endlessly grinding. Its pressure was almost entirely gone and I grabbed it by the shoulder. Dream immediately ended after that. No looming sense of dread, no panic, no flight. Second time I woke up in complete darkness. I could make out my bed, the ceiling, window nearby, and a black fog at the end of my bed. This was more formless than anything, but when it moved closer it became more human-shaped. Don't think any pressure I've ever felt came close to the one this had. Felt like I was suffocating, and it put its hands around my neck, choking me. Then it turned me to face the wall and slammed my head into it a few times, then smothered my face into the pillow. I honestly thought I was gonna die when that happened. I thought maybe someone had broken into my house for real and was having fun killing me. I couldn't see anything, just black, and breathing felt like sucking air through a coffee straw. Then I woke up and that dream ended. No looming sense of dread, no panic, no flight, but it was the most unusual of all because it was dead silent. No cars, no dogs or cats making noise, nothing, not even in the distance, and our town has a frequently used railroad. It was like 10:30 p.m. At first I thought maybe I had a false awakening and the dream had been restarted, but nothing happened after that, and I went back to bed. I felt relieved though, like I'd been saved. Nothing to recall between the time I woke up and when it was nothing but blackness. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th encounter all happened on the same night. I woke up in my bed and went to the kitchen to get some water, nothing unusual. Until I got to the sink, there was a gray person standing there. It was human-like, but not human, had a grimace with serrated teeth, and asymmetric facial features, looked like its body was rotting, holes torn to show muscle below. I forced as soon as I looked at its face, and then it walked towards me. Dream reset, and I was in the bed again. Short-term memory completely wiped, so I get up and go to the kitchen again, and in the hallway I see another gray person. This one wasn't he, same as the first one. It was dressed like teenager. I froze again as soon as I made eye contact with it, and it drifted towards me, not walking like the first one, laughing. Dream reset again, back in the bed, short-term memory gone. This time I was completely paralyzed. I could see something flying around in the room, like a stingray, except this one was like the Shadow Man. I didn't know what to do, so I closed my eyes, hoping to wake up. Then I woke up, or the dream was reset again. I went to the kitchen to get some water. Nothing weird this time, I think I'd actually woke up. Went back to sleep, and it happened again. I was paralyzed, and I could see a gray man standing near the door. I closed my eyes, hoping to wake up, but I didn't. He did vanish, though. I got up and saw it in the hallway. This time I avoided looking at its neck, face, or eyes, and walked right by it. Went outside, and it was daytime. There were people walking by, and I asked them for help. Then the dream reset again, and they were gone. Woke up in the bed again. I was so mad. I was paralyzed. But this time I could move my hands and legs enough to stop the paralysis. I got up and saw a shadow in the hallway. This one had long claws. I started pulling picture frames off the wall, and whatever else I could grab to throw, and it ran away with a chunk of shoulder missing. Was teleported back to the bed again. The paralysis was really weak this time, and the stingray thing was in the room with me. It stretched itself thin and tried to wrap me to choke me, but I was able to grab it. I couldn't even touch it the first time I saw it. This time I could hear it shrieking like an animal. There was a plastic bag in the room that I put it inside of. I put it in the bag and started swinging it everywhere, hitting every wall, every piece of furniture in the house. And then I was just awake with no memory of the moment I had gone upright, like I'd been sitting up in my bed the whole time. Not scared, no dread, but a morbid sense of curiosity for what happened. The dream resetting being teleported back to the bed so many times made me think I was never going to wake up. So I'd accepted that I was going to be as much of a nuisance to whatever those things were, as much as they were to me. I still have dreams of shadows now, but they are all weaker than the ones from before. Usually I have enough lucidity to make a light appear and end them. But I've ran into others that don't have a direct presence or pressure. Like I go and look at a mirror, and I see myself in the reflection, and other shadows in on a TV screen or reflection as if they were in the same room as me, but they cannot interact.
Yes, after I took way too much DPH, I was using it as a way to make myself borderline amnesiac because I was seriously depressed. A lot of people say they see spiders and shit, but that never happened. I usually just had this overwhelming feeling of gravity alongside mental collapse. Imagine you have a really bad case of the flu, but you're completely submerged in a hot bath after a good meal, somewhere between discomfort and bliss. Occasionally I'd see wisps, but those were my only hallucinations. I never saw spiders. One day, I took maybe 600 milligrams or so. I gave up for the night and went to bed. I was just laying there, not really thinking about anything, but I felt a presence in the room. I looked around, but besides a couple wisps, I didn't really see anyone or anything. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and saw a black string descending from the ceiling. It gradually grew and became this void in the shape of a man. It just stared down at me, watching. You don't really feel fear on DPH. You just feel numb, like nothing at all. So I stared back at him for a moment, then shut off my light. He still stood there, leering down at me. I went, "Fuck it," turned on some music, then rolled over. I'd occasionally check to see if he was still there. He was. I eventually fell asleep. I haven't done DPH since, but it's the only drug I still get strong cravings for. I don't want to join the 700 Club.
Be teenager, early 2000s. Wake up thirsty. Go downstairs through the big living room, little living room, dining room, into the kitchen. Gulp down 2 glasses of water. Notice it's 4 a.m. Alarm for school set at 6 a.m. Figure I'll stay awake and watch TV. Sit water down on the dining room table. Sit on the arm of the love seat in the little living room. Notice the dark shadow of a man. Looks like Van Helsing, but pitch black. He's standing directly through the doorway of the big living room. Instant feeling of total dread and terror. My immediate thought, holy shit, a serial killer or burglar just broke in. Attempt to sprint to the back door in the kitchen, still on the arm of the love seat. I realize I can't move. Realize I can't look away from the guy. Shit, 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 I'm gonna die. He starts moving towards me. Anxiety shoots through the roof. As he got closer, my panic exponentially grew. Suddenly slide back, facing the ceiling. Feel relieved that I'm not looking at it. Feel his shins touch mine. Realize my feet are still planted on the ground. Ass still planted on the edge of the love seat. I'm hovering, still paralyzed. See his head in the bottom peripheral. Leans over me. Get so close everything in vision is pitch black. Don't feel his hat nor face. Stare into the blackness for hours. Literally no thoughts but conscious. Wake up. Shocked I'm alive. Google as much as I can. Cope its night terrors. Most real feeling sleep paralysis dream I've ever had, out of 5 total in 25 years. Don't talk about it for a couple decades. See post on /x/. Realize I'm not the only one. Get the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I had one a few years back. The bed I was sleeping in was directly opposite the door. I end up with sleep paralysis and I'm stuck staring forward, only barely able to move my eyes. Eventually, the door slowly creaked open and a man made of shadow was standing there. No hat, just a broad-shouldered silhouette. He inches towards me, and I find it harder and harder to breathe. Eventually, he reaches me, climbs up on the bed, and proceeds to dig his knee right into my chest. I basically can't breathe at all at this point. Panic sets in, and I attempt to calm myself by reminding myself it's just sleep paralysis. Then, still putting all his weight on my chest, the man leans forward and says into my ear, "This isn't a dream." It goes black at that point, and I wake up a short while later. I had sleep paralysis before and after that. Saw a lot of weird shit, but never any more shadow men, and I'm happy for that.
I have seen a lot of things over the years, like a lot. It runs in my family, but most of them are schizophrenic, so I take what they say with a grain of salt, but I'm not. But I saw something about 2 weeks ago that I can't make any sense of. Normally, if I research enough, I can find out what the entity was. Not this time. I have absolutely no idea what this was. I was in our downstairs bathroom one afternoon, and the door was open because no one else was home. I noticed some movement outside the bathroom on the nearby wall. I figured it was probably just a shadow person, but it wasn't like any that I'd ever seen. It was fairly small and compact, and it was doing these somersaults right on the wall. It almost looked like part of it was in the wall, and the side facing me was outside of it. I remembered how one of my kids had asked me recently a lot of questions about shadow people, and I thought I'd try to take in more details on this thing, especially since there was no bad vibe coming off it. There was no fear, anger, etc. No bad smell, no indication whatsoever that it had ill intent. So I stood up and walked around a bit to make sure it wasn't a trick of light or anything. It wasn't. It was spinning around and around right there on the wall. It didn't seem to care that I was walking around in front of it. My daughter had asked me a few weeks before to try to find out what shadow people want, but I don't think I'll ever do that. I don't think speaking to them is a good idea, really. With this one, though, I finally straight up asked it what it wanted. As soon as I said that, it stopped spinning and turned so that its face was toward me. Its face was very large for its size, and it looked pale and skeletal. It also looked surprised. I seriously think it either had no idea I was there or had no idea that I could see it before I said something. I didn't like the look of the face, and it was kind of shocking to me. I've never seen one with much of a face before. I took off into the next room, and I haven't seen that thing since.
The paralysis is a trick. Even when you dream your body has an intangible component, you can still move. You may look down at your hands and feet in terror, thinking, why can't I move anything else? Suspend disbelief when that happens, and imagine uncoupling phantom limbs from your knees and elbows. Imagine having an extra set of arms or talons you can't see. They are something like what the Hindu deities have. I am not Indian, and I don't follow those religions. Or a harpy. You have to avoid eye contact with the shadow. Gray, genderless, sometimes nude, smiling man, or you'll get paralyzed again. If you don't look at their face, they can't freeze you, and you can run or walk around them. When you get far, they will teleport you back to where the dream started. But the more times they do this, they will get weaker, and if they are not a shadow person, untouchable, you can strike and restrain them. Their paralysis field is weakened too, that air pressure diminishes and it feels like you are standing in a regular fog or a humid environment. From experience, around 4 to 5 teleportations makes them weak enough to fight directly, but you still have to avoid eye contact. If you run into another human, it's even easier, because they can only defend against the person they are trying to paralyze. A second person often drives them away. At their weakest state, they lose all rigidity, they lose their skeleton and become a leathery mass that can't even move. I've never heard one speak, but I'm pretty sure they can. They feed on fear. If you have any hint of lucidity, they are instantly destroyed if you can make light appear. I've never seen one leave an interior. They rely on you getting cornered for the paralysis to work. I'd say their max reach with it is about 12 feet max, and it seems like if you make it outside, other humans are more likely to appear, imaginary or not. If you run into one with claws or long fingers, use something with holes to snare and twist them. like when you get your fingers stuck in a bowling ball.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.